Hello, my fellow philosophers in our TKU philosophy class. My name is Adam Gennari. I'm a fellow classmate of yours, and let's do some philosophizing today. I come to you from my kitchen in my house with the shirt I pulled out of the dirty clothes and in gym shorts because I'm professional. Now, let's get back on track because this is professional. I've been given the awesome privilege from our awesome professor, Professor Andrew Shepherdson, to address a book called Why I Am Not a Christian by Dr. Bertrand Russell. I have titled my paper or speech, Why I Am Not a Christian, Why I Am Not an Atheist. Why I'm Not an Atheist, that one, against Why I'm Not a Christian. So this is a critique of Bertrand Russell's book. My main thesis is Bertrand Russell gives arguments against believing in a Christian theistic worldview. I'll address some of the strengths, because he does have strong arguments, and the weaknesses of some of his argumentation. And I'd like to say I think very highly of Dr. Bertrand Russell. He was an awesome guy, awesome professor. He was well known for many things. He was a brilliant writer, a philosopher. He was well versed in logic, philosophy of language, and even influenced computer science. And that's actually a big deal for a guy born in 1872. He was born in 1872 on the 18th of May in a city of Monmouthshire, which is in England, and he died on the 2nd of February in 1970, also in England. He was well known for many things. Again, like I said, but he was really well known for some of the weird views that he had on certain issues. He was a pacifist during the World War I, World War II, Korean and Vietnam War era. He was an anti-imperialist, which is kind of weird for a guy born in London, a empire, or not London, England, the British Empire, and most notably atheism. He had an impact in the world of philosophy and atheism that, in some people's opinions, was unprecedented, at least in modern times. He has influenced many people to be atheists, including people like Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, just to name a few. Unlike the new atheists, which I previously have mentioned, he was a gentleman and a man of great thought, and someone I actually have read before. And though he had great arguments, I think they fall short of the truth, both theologically and philosophically, of the existence of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, which we can both know here and most importantly know here. Unfortunately, Dr. Bertrand Russell never got to know it here or here, and we will address the reasons why he forsook such a belief system. His main argument, well, one of his main arguments, at least how he sets up the book, is he defines what is a Christian. I think this is actually kind of a terrible thing to do when you don't cite secondary sources. And he does not cite any secondary sources, including the Bible, any Christian. He says, well, it doesn't have a full-blooded meaning as it did in the times of St. Augustine or Aquinas. He then defines a Christian as someone who believes in both God and immortality and has some kind of belief about Christ. And any Christian would today say that is far from what is defining what is a Christian. Though he's not necessarily wrong, I think it is a very it's a tactic, an argument tactic, to define something with your own definition and then to attack that definition and try to falsify it without using any secondary sources. I think that's a cheap trick that he tried playing, and for a guy who has a PhD, I would highly recommend that he use what he learned freshman year of college to cite sources. That was a little sassy, I apologize. The first cause argument, he comes against the first cause argument. Everything has a cause, God is that cause. That's the basic first cause argument. But he says, what caused God? If everything has a cause, then God must have a cause. So what caused God? And I turn to the Kalam cosmological argument, which says everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. And it goes on further. But the main premise of that is what begins to exist. And since God, by necessity, has never begun to exist, that premise of what caused God falls short, that question. Because it's like asking, can you make a triangle round? You can't. It's impossible. A triangle, by definition, is a triangle. It can't be a circle. Just like God, by definition, by what he is and who he is, cannot be caused. And it's the same as asking, can a triangle be round? So again, whatever begins to exist has a cause. Not everything has a cause, only what begins to exist. And God never began to exist, so he doesn't need a cause. He also attacks the argument from design. Now, I actually kind of agree with Dr. Bertrand Russell on this, because I've always find the idea of a finely tuned universe as proof of God kind of weird. Because if anybody looks at the world, it's actually hard for us to exist. And if I may play the devil's advocate for a second, if God did exist, see this, the tone, the atheistic tone, if God did exist, wouldn't he want it to be easier